Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, YouTubers from all over the world, dogs and cats. His Royal Highness Mufasa is here this morning to assist in our sail installation. We've got to get this sail sewed up, ready to install. So we're got the next sail to go on, and that'll be this one up there. So it's going to be sitting like that on the ship, and of course there'll be some more of them little brass rings on the top there, but we got to tie a pulley this corner, a rope on this corner, a rope with a pulley on the end of it on this corner. It looks like there's a pulley tied right to the tip, so you can winch it up and down that main line. That's sort of what I see up there too. The pulley up there, one here. This will probably go down to the deck, and then that looks like it just has a rope on it that goes down to the deck. So we'll put a rope on it. It goes down to the deck. So we want to make a long one for this corner. It goes all the way down to the deck. Yeah, this week I got too busy with other stuff. So I use this little threader for my needle. That makes it easy there, so we can get a secure point on this corner here. And we'll go through twice. Make sure this is secure. I'm going to open that loop up so I can where my tweezers went. Back to there, and then snug that, and then do a double granny knot here in the front. And then a single granny knot. So that one's tied. We gotta glue that tip. got me a new tube of glue. This isn't it, but the other one was getting low enough where I probably wasn't gonna make it through the build, so went ahead and got another tube of, this is a quick drying super glue. I've been using a tube to do most of the work with for quick dry stuff. This doesn't need to be quick dry here. Because we're not pulling on it right away. So we get that corner there. These sails come pre-sewn in the kit. So that makes it nice. So now the top corner, and we got one here already made up that we can use for the top corner, and the bottom corner we'll have to do one. This one will work for the top corner. So yeah, as I was saying, I've got a lot of other projects I was working on this week at the house, and one of them was repainting the ceiling in the porch I built last year with some kills. We want this to pull up to the pulley really close, so we'll have to get this knot to close up with just a little bit of slack there. Something like that. But when I painted that ceiling, it was raw plywood and 2x8 pine beams holding up that ceiling deck or roof. And I went 12 inches on center so I could missed the 16-inch on center tails coming out of the existing roof of the house, because those tails would have interfered with the porch roof that we were building. So making the new porch roof beams on 12-inch center allowed me to offset the position where they landed at, so they wouldn't interfere with the tails of the existing roof. So of course they all land on a ledger with hangers, but I wanted to make sure that I had enough support for the span. That's why I used 2x8s, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to interfere with the existing roof. It's a plywood deck that's up there, butts into the 3/4 inch plank boards. The plywood is 3/4 inch and the plank boards on the existing roof are 3/4 inch, so they butted together nicely. I didn't have to do a whole lot of modifications. But when I painted that deck, that's, you know, the underside of those beams in the plywood, I just put indoor outdoor semi-gloss latex, and sap in the wood and moisture and stuff that was still in the wood. So we'll do this one down here first, and then we'll do that pulley one on the other corner last. Caused it to, the sap and the moisture in there caused it to mold through the paint because I didn't primer it. So I should have primered it. It's a pain in the butt to do it to start with, and then I didn't primer it, and that was a mistake. So a year later, if it's been that long, I don't know, year and a half maybe, something like that, I took a whole gallon of Kills and went up there, and of course I had to clean out all the furniture and everything in the room and put down plastic everywhere to cover the floor up so it didn't get paint all over it. But I spent a whole day putting a good thick coat of Kills on there, and I'm probably gonna have to go back with a brush and add a few spots here and there that didn't get thick enough. And I'll let that cure for a month or two, and then paint it again with the indoor outdoor semi-gloss, which is a light blue instead of white color. I spent 3 days doing that. Yesterday I mowed and weed eated and blew the yard, so that took up a bunch of time. So this is the only day I got to work on the ship. So I got to cock this in my gun. Or I can put it in the vise at the right orientation for tying the rope around it. This is a brand new roller. So we're going to have a long tail. Yeah, we got a long tail that goes down to that block off of this corner. So we want to make this long enough we can do that with it. Yeah, I didn't get a whole lot done on the ship this week. This is the only day I've had time to do anything, and it's already Saturday. Sorry, there's not going to be a lot of content this week for making progress on the build. What was, oh yeah, when I was painting that ceiling, of Of course, you're working over your head. And my neck got sore. I'm out of shape. All the muscles in my neck from looking up and twisting around. Had a headache for a day or two. I just didn't feel good. As far as coming out here and working on this. So we'll have to gauge that distance, which is it's like about 70 millimeters. Get that second loop through there. Yeah, just about there. So between painting that porch and doing all the yard work, I usually mow once a week, and then I don't weed eat until the second week. I'll mow and weed eat on the second week. Of course, when you mow and weed eat, you gotta blow everything because you make a terrible mess. Whoop, be careful. Blowing that knot up. So now we got to put the eyelets on here, and what do we got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 eyelets. And this is 145 millimeters. I was going to say 13, but maybe not, because I don't want a space on each end. Yes, I do. Oh, 145 divided by 13. That way I'll have a half a space on each end. That ain't right. $11 millimeters. So that means we'll have 11 millimeter spacing. Will give us a little space before we start the first eyelet, and then we go 11 millimeters. This makes it easy to locate where the eyelet's going to go at. I just open the eyelet up and then poke it through where this dot is. And those are the eyelets right there. They're probably called something else. We look in the part list, part number 75. I bet you $10 that part is on the ship is called something else. So one more here and we'll see what the count is, because it may be one off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, that's off one. That's okay, because the spacing is what matters. If we got one extra, big deal. Now I need the second pair of pliers here. I did this in our last video. So these have a separation in them somewhere. Yeah, right there. So just open it up. Make sure I'm low enough from that edge where I'm in the material. Poke it through. And we'll use this same tactic when we install the eyelet on that main rope. So we'll just open that loop up and hook it around that main rope that's up there. So I'm not going to torture you guys to watch all this. And I'll get back with you in a minute. Okay, now we want to do this pulley right here. We gotta glue a baling pin This is my old tube that's almost empty. That's why I bought a new one. Down in there. This has got super glue on this tip so I can poke it through. And then I use wax, beeswax that I got at the market. And you drag this cotton thread through there that came with the ship kit, because it's so fuzzy. It doesn't look very good until you drag it through that wax. The super glue makes it easy to get a knot. I get it through that eyelet. There's an eyelet down here on the deck we're going to use as a tie point. I almost need 2 pairs of tweezers. With that wax on there, it makes the rope stiff, so it's easier to cinch a knot. I got to get in here from this other side and grab that tail. There. Now this is going to go around that baling pin. So what I usually try to do is hook it underneath where the pin sticks out. Like that. And then I'll wrap it around one time. Try to hold it down where it can't unwrap there. Now is the trick. Make a loop like that. And then we want to turn that loop upside down. Get it around that baling pin. Pull it tight. So that takes care of that one. Except I pulled it off of the bottom. So because it was twisted up here. How can I fix that problem? Start over again, I guess. It's easy to make them twist it up where they go from one point to the next through a block. And the ship build looks a lot better if there's no twists around those. They're not around it, but as they come up and down. There, we got 2 wraps, or 1 complete wrap on there. Now I got to do a loop. Like that, and let that loop turn over. And then pull it tight. That looks better as it's coming down. It's separated. That's the kind of look you want. So now we want a dab of glue on that slip knot. I can't remember what they call those. I used to use that knot all the time on the boat. I had a boat for most of my life, and when I retired I sold it. BOAT. Bet on another 1,000. So we got a little bit too much pressure on that line though. This is an easy mistake when you're always looking down. See how it pulled that line down? This is going to go over here. I already got that fed through that block on top. And both this one and this one are run through the crow's nest and ready to tie off on a baling pin, but this is pulling down a little bit too much. I gotta get my rope up here through one of these blocks according to the drawing. What do we got here? Yeah, it ties off on top, goes down through one pulley, up to another pulley, and then down to the deck. 736. So we got to get a rope ready for that. I got one here already with the super glue on the tip. So it'll feed through them blocks. Now we're going to get a rough estimate of the length so we can wax it and cut it loose from this reel. So we're going to be tying off, going through that block, up to this block, and down to a baling pin or a pulley. So that should be enough length. And we take this thread and we drag it through the edge of this block a few times. That gets rid of 90% of all the fuzzy stuff on there. That's a little easier to work with. So the super glue end we want to leave for the feed through. And I got this little trick thing here. This little piece of, you can get this at sewing stores. I'm gonna put my string through that loop. And take that, I'm going up through this eyelet or this hole up here for a tie point. And then we can tie that off. Now we end with the glue on it. That is too tight, isn't it? And I already got the glue down here. This glue that I used is not quick set, so it's still a little soft. If I can get behind that slip knot like that, might be able to get this to come off of there. There we go. Now we got that loose because that quick set glue dries pretty fast, but this other stuff doesn't. When it dries, it's good, but it takes 3 to 5 minutes before it gets hard. And I use that in places where I don't care if the knot's going to blow or not, because I got time to let it dry, like we did just then. So we were able to get it off there because it was still wet, and that'll give us the slack that we want up here. According to the drawing, that sail is up against the foremast, so there's a lot of room before it gets to the mainmast. So we're going to leave that room there. Go ahead and tie this off first instead of the bottom one. You learn as you go, because sure enough, you're going to make a mistake. So I'm sort of pre-positioning that knot that was holding that block so it's facing the right way, and I want to come through the top, don't I? Got to go up there and then down to the deck. I actually want to go to the bottom because the pulley I'm tying to is above the tie-off point. course, as you can see, one of my rings came off. I'll have to reinstall that. I've been tugging on this too much. So that's going to go through the crow's nest. Like that. So as you can see, we got two over here that are going through the crow's nest. We got to tie off on the bottom. Two over here. One going through the crow's nest, the other one through a block. Tie them off at the bottom. And then we'll put a little glue on our beginning knot there. Then we'll just work on one of these. I'm pretty sure, yeah, according to the plans, one of these is going to hook to a block, and then it gets threaded through a double block, and it gets threaded through another double block down here. So that's going to be a battle. This one is just a baling pin. The two over here, the same thing. One of them gets a block installed on it and goes double block through those ones that are hanging there ready to go on the deck. Got like 10 of them that are sitting there. So we got to get a double block on both sides of this one rope that goes to the top of the sail. The other rope just ties off on a baling pin. So I'm going to work on pre-installing the block on the right ones here. This one and this one. And then we'll have that thing terminated. So we'll only get one sail done this week, because we're busy doing too much other stuff. Let me show you what I've been doing. So of course we mowed the yard, and I had my wife complaining about some of the plants not getting enough air, and it's too much rain, so it's not drying out good in the greenhouse. So we rolled up this end as a solid end with a little screen window, and we rolled it up and clamped it off so it can stay open till winter time when it really gets cold. Of course, in Florida it doesn't get cold like you would think, but we call it cold if it's below 50 degrees. You gotta put 2 shirts on if it's down in the 40s. So this is her little potting station. And we got some carrots and sweet potatoes and asparagus, blueberries. There's some blueberries right there, almost ready to eat, huh? A lot of herbs and spices. Rosemary, mint, some garlic, basil. Tomatoes are looking rough, but I think they'll come back after we let them dry out a little bit. This is all mint and basil. More garlic and onions. Lots of flowers. These are the palmera plants they make the Hawaiian lei flower necklace out of. They grow pretty good down here in Florida. So the other project I did this week, of course, I moved all this furniture and stuff out of here and put the paint stuff down so you don't get paint all over everything. And then we painted the ceiling in here with the roller and a brush with keels, as we had mold and sap coming through a lot of this wood. And you can see even after painting it with kills, I may need to do a second coat. Still got some discoloring from the sap in the wood where those knots are. She's got more veggies in here that she started with seed. They're just starting to come up. And of course, we built this porch from scratch. There wasn't nothing here except the old concrete slab. So if you look on my channel, there's I think 7 videos of building this porch from the beginning to the end. And it's all screened in, keep the mosquitoes out. And then we got screen in the front. This is a carport. And my laundry room, hot water heater, and power panel and everything. So we got this front part screened off too. We did when we first moved in. We built this to isolate the mosquitoes from inside the house. And we did have a door here that we moved over there after we got this built. And we added another door here. So if you want to see how you build this from scratch, that's neighbor out there walking their dog. Mufasa says illegal move. Of course, that's my wife's she shed. She does a lot of crafting in there. She's got a kiln, melts glass and all other kind of paint pours and all kind of things she does with crafts. And my grandson's tree house. And that's all pallet wood, made from pallets. We disassembled the pallets, and then there's a lot of pallets, if you pick the right ones, are made out of oak. And some of these pallets were for sheets of marble, that got shipped from Brazil. So it's pretty tough wood. That's been up there like 7 years. And with that little roof on it, keeps it dry enough where it doesn't rot. And they got a nice rope swing here where they swing and stuff. But that's part of the reason we don't have a lot of content this week, because I've been busy taking care of the homestead. But we'll get back to it next week, hopefully, if we don't something come up. And we're steadily pumping away on this baby. Won't be too long, we'll be done picking a new model. Get all these sales on there. I'm a good procrastinator. Thanks for watching.